Welcome to the Sending Reports with MyAssistant training tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to cover how to send individuals customized reports. The goal of this tutorial is to set up MyAssistant tasks to send reports filtered for each recipient. In doing this, we will learn how to create conditions to determine who will receive reports, use email directories to look up the email address for each recipient, and attach reports that are filtered for each recipient. This tutorial is going to use the example of sending employees their direct deposit pay summaries. To do this, we will specifically retrieve a list of payroll checks for the current pay period with a condition. We will look up the email address for each employee with an email directory, and we will attach a report that will print each employee's pay summary. Before you are able to fully implement this task in your software, review the list below and make sure you have accomplished or gathered all items listed. First, develop the report you will use to generate the direct deposit pay summary. You can use a Crystal report, or if you are running MyAssistant 9.8.2, you can also use a Timberline report. Second, determine where each employee email address will be entered, whether that's in MyAssistant or in Timberline. Third, familiarize yourself with the basic MyAssistant concepts. And fourth, keep in mind that you can stop or replay any portion of this video for further review. In order to view this video in the best quality possible, we recommend switching to full screen view, as well as clicking the gear icon in the video and selecting HD as the quality. Now that we've reviewed what we're going to cover in this video, let's jump in the software and get started. I am now in the MyAssistant Designer piece of the software. I am creating my task from scratch, so I will click New in the Home ribbon, and the New Task Wizard opens. The first step in the New Task Wizard is General Information, so I'm going to name, categorize, and add a description for my task. I went ahead and entered the applicable information. When you are finished, click Next. We are now at the condition step for the MyAssistant task setup. The condition is the tool we use to tell MyAssistant what information to gather from the Sage 300 database. For our example, we are looking to send each employee a copy of their pay stub. What we need MyAssistant to return to us is a list of checks that have been posted in the last 7 days. We have two options for using conditions. We can select a pre-built condition from this list, or we can create a condition from scratch. For this example of sending an employee their pay stubs, I'm creating a condition from scratch. So I will click New, and the Define Condition window opens. So the Define Condition window is where we tell MyAssistant what to look through and what to look for in the Sage 300 database. The first step is entering the condition's name. Next, we will select the application that we will be working in. For this example, we will be working in the payroll application, so I'll select payroll. After selecting the application we will be working in, we need to select the check-all for the condition. The check-all is essentially the starting place in the Sage 300 database. The check-all is also the record that MyAssistant is going to look through when this condition is run. I want a list of payroll checks that have been posted. I'm going to select payroll checks off the current file. If you notice in the bottom left corner of the screen, when I changed the check-all, this list of records changed as well. This list of records here is everything that you can access from the check-all of this condition. Now that we have told MyAssistant to look through the payroll check current file, we need to tell MyAssistant what to specifically look for in the list of checks. We tell MyAssistant what data to look for with the condition expression. We write the condition expression by selecting Records on the left side of the screen. I am going to tell MyAssistant to look for checks that have been posted in the last 7 days. So right now, I am going to tell MyAssistant to only look for checks with the period end date in the last 7 days. So I double-clicked period end date to add it to the condition expression. Then I'm going to select greater than, and I'm going to use the functions drop-down to select current date, and then I will type -7 for the last 7 days. So right now this condition expression says checks with the period end date greater than the last 7 days. If this condition were to be run right now, MyAssistant would look through the payroll check current file for checks with a period end date in the last 7 days. That is exactly what I'm looking for, so I will click Save and Close. When the Define Condition window closes, I can see that my condition of send pay stubs for current pay period was added to this task. So I will click Next. This is the schedule step. I'm leaving it on demand, and I'm clicking Next. The email step is where we determine who will receive the information returned from MyAssistant and what they will receive. I am first going to specify who will receive the returned data. In order to send each employee a copy of only their pay stub, I will use a tool called email directories. An email directory is a tool in MyAssistant that is used to send individuals and groups notifications that pertain only to them. For this tutorial, I will create an email directory from scratch. In the home ribbon of the email step, I will click Email Directory, and the Select Email Directories window will open. I need a new email directory, so I will click Set Up Email Directories. And in the Define Email Directory window, I will click New. And the two-step wizard will open that walks through the setup of the email directory. So I'm going to title this Employee since I'm just sending to employees. And I'm going to select the first option, Look Up Email Addresses in Sage Timberline Office. And click Next. I have a custom field already set up in Timberline. I've already imported that custom field into the MyAssistant software, and the custom field contains email addresses for each employee. So the Timberline database record is the record in Timberline your field is in, and then the employee email address is the field that I have my employee's email addresses entered in. Once I've selected the record and field, I will click Finish. And if you notice, the email directory was saved. I will close the Define Email Directory window, and in the Select Email Directories window, the new email directory named Employee is now listed. So I select Employee, click To, and it will be added to the To line when I click OK. So there we go. This task is now set to send with the email directory Employee. Step 2 is telling MyAssistant what information to send. I am going to use a crystal report as the pay stub for this task. On the home ribbon, I will click Attach, select Crystal Report, and Windows Explorer opens asking me to navigate to the report. It's right here, Direct Deposit Notification, so I select it. And when I click Open, MyAssistant loads the report parameters window. This window that opened is called the Report Options window, and the key to email directories working with reports is right here. A copy of this report will be generated for each email message. What that means is that when this task is run, because it is sending to an email directory, MyAssistant will look in that field that I specified in email directory setup and pull each email address that is associated with a notification. In this case, it will pull an employee's email address when it finds a pay stub that goes with it. When MyAssistant combines an email address with a notification, an email message is generated. Once the email message is generated, MyAssistant looks to see if it needs to run any reports for that email message. In this case, it will see that it needs to run the direct deposit notification report. So this window is where we specify any report parameters. Report parameters are the prompt fields that were built into this report when it was designed. So when you run a report from Timberline, you are asked to enter specific information for the report that you're running. This is the same concept. We fill out these report parameters so that the report knows how to filter and run. For this report, the report parameters will filter per employee, period end date, and check sequence. Probably the most important parameter here is this enter employee parameter. This is how the report will filter per employee and send only one pay stub to each employee. The first report parameter I have here is enter employee. I will select Timberline field. I want it to look at the PR check record. I want it to pull the employee number. Enter period end date, I'm going to select current date. And for enter check sequence, I will select Timberline field PR check current as the record, and the column will be check sequence. Once my report parameters are set, I will click OK. If you look in the attachments line, that report has now been added to the task. I'm going to enter a brief email body. I have typed, "Dear employee, your pay stub is attached. Thank you." So right now, when this task is run, MyAssistant will send to each employee. Each employee will receive the report attached, as well as see this email body. So when I have completed this step, I will click Next. Additional information is just housekeeping. I'm going to leave it for now, leave clicking Next. Same with notification options, so I will click Finish. In the main app, the task Send Employee Pay Stubs is now blue, which means it's been activated. I am now going to review what we specified in Task Setup. I will select the task and click Open in the Home ribbon, and the Edit Task window opens. The first step is general information, and we specified a name, category, subcategory, and description for this task. If we click Modify in the condition step, the Define Condition window opens, and we can see that we created a condition that will look through the PR check current file for checks with a period end date is greater than the last 7 days. The Schedule step, we left this task to run on demand, which means we will have to manually run and send. In the Email step, we are sending with the email directory employee. We have attached the Crystal Report direct deposit notification, and we have typed a brief email message. Additional information, as well as notification options, have the default settings. I will click OK. And when I have checks posted and I'm ready to send employees their pay stubs, I will select the task and click Run and Send in the Home ribbon. We have now covered the complete setup of sending reports with MyAssistant using the example of sending employees their pay stubs. Keep in mind that you can come back and watch any portion of this video if you need further review.